All right, so you've now read the Ace of Influence, the consultant's code, and you understand that we are doing everything we can do to be the literal opposite of our competitors. So I'm going to run you through a bit of a list so you can truly understand the us versus them equation that's happening here. So starting from the top, the average agent dresses like a complete schlub. That's just a fact, right? And you can see that when you go to real estate events, you can see it out in the field. And it happens all the time where we'll be dressed in a suit and we'll be showing one of our own listings, and a client will come through with another realtor who is dressed like they just came out of the gym. And it is a really nice juxtaposition, and it's helpful for us to position ourselves as truly elite. So if you look around at your contemporaries, you want to dress a cut above that. Second piece, the average realtor spends their days on their heels answering questions, okay? Clients are coming to them with questions and they're in reactive mode answering those questions. A true consultant, by comparison, asks the questions. We are the ones on the phone who ask our 5 consultative questions to run people through a diagnostic process. We then prescribe the game plan meeting. At the game plan meeting, we ask them more questions. We're running the show. We are the ones leading the process versus playing a game of tennis where they're serving questions at you and you're busy trying not to hit the ball back out of bounds. Next, the average agent does a pile of uncompensated work. They work for free in advance, hoping to obligate somebody to actually work with them. And hopefully they're in the right place at the right time when they're ready to buy. A real consultant does not. A real consultant works only when the client has engaged them with an exclusivity agreement. Only then do they start building portals and showing property. You just don't put the cart before the horse. You're not going to convince an accountant to look at your taxes until you have retained him. A lawyer is not going to take a peek at your case until you have engaged them. This is the way a proper consultant, a proper professional operates. Real estate has decided to give away the cow and expect the milk for free. We're not playing that game. The average real estate agent has almost no value proposition whatsoever. Maybe it's access to the MLS that they're trading on. I'm not sure exactly. But a real consultant, by comparison, has an entire value proposition, unique selling propositions, and they offer certainty to a process. And that is where the value is garnered. Certainty is what clients value. Tools and solutions and expertise is what we trade on, not opening doors like glorified house waiters. The average agent and most agents are forced to discount their fees almost all of the time. And to be fair, they probably should. Whereas a true consultant is charging a premium fee and getting it almost every time because cost is only an issue in the absence of value. When you have no value proposition, you are commoditized and you are forced to price where everyone else is in that race to the bottom. A true consultant separates themselves and can operate as a one of one and charge exactly what they're worth. Most real estate agents are trading on access to the MLS. If they're working for a seller, it's putting their home on the MLS in hopes that one of the other realtors has a client. If they're working for buyers, it's plugging them into the MLS portal in hopes that they can set them up on an email drip and something magically will come through the portal that's so exciting to them that they'll let them be the ones to show them the property and write up the deal. They're trading on access to the MLS with scarcely little value. A real consultant has a proven process that they lead people through. The MLS is not at center stage in any way, shape, or form. This is actually just one of a very small group of tools that we use. And a consultant is leading a process. That's the big difference. Average realtors, when they show properties, they disconnect right after. They're in the driveway. There's 2 separate vehicles and they're going, all right, well, I'll get you some more information and we'll touch base next week. Let me know if you see anything else that you like. And off they go on their separate paths. A true professional has a proven process. The next step in the process is to go back to the office and debrief. And guess what? You came in the same car because that's what a true professional does. And you head back to the office and you're debriefing and you are booking the next set of showings without knowing what you're going to show yet because you always want to have these people connected to what's called a chain of commitment. You don't disconnect and hope the portal does the heavy lifting of reconnecting them. You book the next set of showings, reserving the right at any time to move it, but always having space in the calendar. That's how you help people hit their goals quickly and you compress the timeline that it takes people to find the home that they love. It pisses me off that the average real estate agent would get butthurt about one of their friends or family members not using them to buy or sell real estate. The simple fact is, if you're trading on obligation, if you're obligating people like, why shouldn't it be me? You bought a house. Why shouldn't I get the commission? If you think that's what we do, you should get out of the industry immediately. Like for us, whether they're family or friends, we want to be hired because we're the best person for the job, full stop. If we're not, hire someone else, because this is a big deal. This is your largest investment. And so there's no such thing as the obligatory commission. If you're trading on that, you are not long for this business. I said this before, I'll say it again. If you think that we sell finishings and decor, you are in the wrong business. You've been watching too much HGTV. A good professional understands that we sell dirt. We sell land, the scarce resource they're not making any more of. We don't sell light fixtures and marble counters. We sell structure, the bones, the amount of materials and resources that went into creating this. We sell that, okay? And we sell a real estate opportunity, which is the opportunity to force the appreciation and make the finishings your own. The thing that everybody gets all excited about and dialed up on, that's the opportunity. That's not what you're selling. You should be selling the house that needs that so they can make that sweat equity. Now it can look just like their Pinterest board, but they made an actually good real estate trade. Because let's be serious, if you are helping people buy homes that already look like your wife's Pinterest board, you're probably overpaying. So what you want to do as a consultant is lead people to what makes the most sense financially, which is buying a home that could use some help, but it's on a better piece of property with better bones. This is a really simple one. The average agent is leading people through a process of selection versus elimination. They're letting people seek properties ad infinitum, hoping that something that they're going to stumble onto is so motivating that they'll select it, versus a true consultant brings people through a process of eliminating until they find the right home for them based on what's available today. The average agent has the client leading the process when it comes to price. This is a huge pet peeve of mine, and you see it when, let's say, you have a property that is $1,050,000 it's listed for, and you see an offer for $999,000 from a buyer. And you say to yourself, I wonder how they came up with that. And you ask the agent, you say, just out of curiosity, were you guys hoping to make your $1 million offer look a little bit shittier? Was that kind of the intention with the $999? Did you want my client who has $1 million and something house to believe that your client thinks they have a $900 and something thousand house? Is that the foot you want to jump off on? I'm just curious, like, what was the logic behind this? And they'll say inevitably, well, that's just what my client wanted to do. And then I want to leap through the phone and tell them to trade their real estate license in because they are not worth the commission they get paid, because they have no influence and they have no understanding of how this process works. You don't want to posture that your number is shittier than it is. You want to make your offer look as good as possible so you don't use nines. And if you do, you're using an old retail trick from the 1920s to try to make something seem smaller, which makes no sense. So again, we don't let our clients pick the number. We lead them and guide them on what is the most advantageous starting point for them to get them the result they want. It's leadership. You got to have some credibility though. So that's the problem. Most realtors don't. Now, once a realtor has an offer to negotiate with, what is standard operating procedure in our business is to email the offer over and then text the other realtor and say, hey, sent over an offer, please confirm receipt. And that's the extent of their negotiation. This is literally our core competency as agents. This is the thing that is the most referable skill we have, and the reason why and what separates the great agents from the average ones. And we think emailing and texting is what we're going to do. No, you get together and you present that offer and you do everything you can do to influence the outcome. And so that's the difference between a consultant, a professional, and an amateur. Now, with an offer in play, amateur agents are letting deals die all the time. They let them die in the negotiation. They let them die during the condition removal period, and they're just willing to let deal die. Oh, I guess it wasn't meant to be. We'll hear, oh, some deals don't come together. You know what? Yeah, you're right. When you don't have any skills, they don't come together. But when you have solutions and you set proper expectations with your clients and you have influence and authority, your clients will do what makes sense for them. And a lot of times walking away from the deal makes no sense. I'm not saying always. Many times you walk away, you find something that can't be rectified in an inspection and nobody's willing to do anything. Great, move on. But more often than not, whatever the problem is, it can be solved if you know how to solve problems. The amateur agents are constantly reactive versus being proactive. They're reactive to problems as they come at them, constantly just trying to spin all the plates, whereas a professional has a proven process and they're proactive. They've got out ahead of and has anticipated all of the things that could happen. This is what happens when you have experience and you've done this a couple hundred times. You start to see around the corner. And so a good agent is never reacting. They're always proactive. The average amateur agent trades on, or their currency is the transaction. A professional knows that their currency is the review and the referrals that come. The transaction is the automatic output. The review and the referral is the currency. That's how you know you've done a good job, when they feel compelled to tell the world. So that's the goal, not the sale. It's the trifecta of an ideal outcome for the client, plus a review, plus a referral. This is probably the biggest one. The amateur agent goes by a feeling. I feel like I do a pretty good job. I feel like I get most of the listing appointments I go on. I feel like my buyers understand the value that I provide. Whereas a professional agent measures everything. They're measuring their net promoter score. They know what their conversion rates are on buyer appointments, listing appointments. They know how many calls they need to make in order to book an appointment. They know what their show up rate is for the appointments that they book. They measure everything so that they can improve. And that's the difference between an amateur and a pro.